Joy is laughing with my friend, the Dalai Lama. Hello, my dear friends. The world is often a difficult place, full of fear and anger and suffering. But it is important to see that love and joy also fill our world. I share this belief with one of my closest and most mischievous friends, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I'm asking you to help us show that our world is not beyond hope. Anger, fear, and despair. No, these will not have the last word. Will you join me, the Dalai Lama, and many others in creating a world where love and joy win? But we cannot do it without each of you. If you are willing to help us, I hope you will join me and take a pledge to share the joy. Are you in? Thank you, and God bless you. You are a gift.
Now, have you ever wondered what the world filled with joy would look like? And how can you create and share joy? Now, to try and answer these questions, two of the world's most joyful people, respected and loved elders, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu, have turned their lifelong dream into a global digital movement titled #ShareTheJoy, and by also publishing the Book of Joy. Now, this is quite an interesting and a scintillating read about two spiritual giants, 7 days, and one timeless question. Now, to tell us more about the #ShareTheJoy movement, we are joined on Skype from the US by the co-author of the Book of Joy, Douglas Abrams. A very good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, you've been collaborating with Archbishop Desmond Tutu as his co-author for more than a decade. Is the Book of Joy really a continuation that you do together, of the work that you do together?
Yes, I've had the great privilege to work with the Archbishop for the last decade. And actually, at his 80th birthday, the Dalai Lama was supposed to be the guest of honor, but he was not issued a visa by the government. And so they had to have their conversation remotely. So for the Dalai Lama's 80th birthday, we were able to bring Archbishop Tutu to Dharamsala, the residence in exile of the Dalai Lama. And they had this extraordinary week together they had 7 days together, actually, 5 days of dialogue, but it was also filled with sharing of traditions and meditation and prayer and dancing. The Dalai Lama danced for the first time in his life. It was quite extraordinary.
Well, in the introduction of the book, you had said that the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu's meeting was probably the last. Why such a foresight? Could it have been prompted by health reasons or perhaps global political considerations?
Exactly. Well, both men are now in their 80s, and as you know, the Archbishop has been in and out of the hospital. We're delighted that he's now currently out of the hospital. But given the Archbishop's health, he won't be traveling very much. And unfortunately, because of the influence of China, the Dalai Lama is not able to come to South Africa to see his beloved friend. So this opportunity that we had to bring them together may have in fact been the last. We hope it won't have been the last, but we were very mindful of the fact that it's very unlikely that they'll ever get this kind of time together to enjoy their friendship.
Yeah, let's speak specifically about the Dalai Lama. We've seen him meet US President Barack Obama about 4 times already and angering Chinese officials. And just a couple of days ago, we see him do that hilarious Donald Trump impersonation. Now, it does appear that he's still firmly entrenched in global politics, despite announcing 5 years ago that he was devolving all his political responsibilities, doesn't he?
That's true. Well, he remains a great global icon and a great moral figure, as does Archbishop Tutu. And I think what's extraordinary about these two men is that they have a concern for the entire world, and they are concerned with the politics and the morality and the justice that exists throughout our whole world. And the Book of Joy was really their attempt to talk about how we can live with joy in the face of suffering, our own personal suffering, but also the suffering that we see all around us. And we have quite a bit of it, as you know, here in America. I know you do in South Africa, in Europe, in Syria. It's all around the world. And I think more and more people are asking themselves, how do we change the tide of fear and anger and sadness and despair to a more joyful reality, and how do we find that joy in the face of all that we see around us? And that was the question that these two men were asking and talking about, and it was just extraordinary to hear them go so deep into this topic, but to do so with incredible laughter and playfulness and fun. It was just so, their conversation was as entertaining as it was inspiring.
Now, in one of the chapters, Douglas, we see that it has got 8 pillars of joy, and one of which is forgiveness, yes, and how we can free ourselves from the past. And I also see that Nelson Mandela's name features quite prominently in this particular chapter. So it is a result of the lack of forgiveness that the world finds itself in the turmoil that it is in, isn't it?
I think that's a very profound point. The Archbishop has written another book that I had the pleasure of helping him, called The Book of Forgiving. And South Africa and Archbishop Tutu have been great teachers of the world about the importance of forgiveness. And unfortunately, because we are not able to forgive one another and deal with our differences, we find ourselves very much, as you said, in this turmoil. The section of the book called The 8 Pillars of Joy deals with 4 pillars of the mind. What the Archbishop and the Dalai Lama felt were the most important qualities that we need to cultivate in our lives in order to have more joy. And the 4 pillars of the mind are perspective, humility, humor, and acceptance. It was wonderful to see humor being one of those qualities. And then 4 qualities of the heart, which were, as you said, included forgiveness, gratitude, compassion, and generosity. And one of the key points of the book is the fastest way to experience more joy in your life is to bring joy to others.
All right, just a quick one, Douglas. Let's talk about the hashtag Share the Joy worldwide digital campaign. What is its objective?
So I think the goal is, really the scientists tell us, and they were very adamant that this book should not be about belief, and it shouldn't be just a Christian book or a Buddhist book. It's really a universal book. And the scientists tell us that there are basically 4 fundamental human emotions. There's fear, anger, sadness, and joy. And as you can probably tell, only one of those 4 fundamental emotions is positive, and it's joy. And so if we're ever going to find our way out of the morass of fear and anger and despair that we find ourselves in, we need to cultivate that quality of joy. So the Archbishop and the Dalai Lama want to cultivate that quality and help to spread it around the world digitally, as well as in the book that they're gifting to the world. It was a real birthday present that they wanted to give to the world.
All right, Douglas Abrams, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time, and very well done for such a masterpiece. That was Douglas Abrams.
Thank you so much, Femi.
Indeed.
Take care.
Indeed, thank you so much. That was Douglas Abrams, the co-author of the Book of Joy, talking to us about the book and, of course, the Share the Joy digital movement. You can also get involved by sharing your own messages of joy by recording and finish this sentence with, for me, joy is ...